Yeah, yes, thank you, Kola. And I appreciate it very much that Carlton Terry comes to ISPPM. And I speak Carlton now in German. That is better understandable and make a summary in English then. Also ich freue mich sehr, dass Carlton sein Angebot für seine Kurse, seine Vorträge hier der ISPPM gemacht hat. Das ist einfach sehr, sehr wertvoll. Wir haben während hier ja Zweiter Weltkrieg war und Zerstörung und so weiter, ist in Amerika die Psychologie und Psychotherapie weiter fortgegangen. Und einer der großen Pioniere ist William Emerson, der dieses Wissen in Workshops dann auch in Deutschland weitergegeben hat. Und da habe ich auch Carlton kennengelernt. Er hat teilweise Teile der Weiterbildung von William übernommen. Es handelt sich um ein sehr komplexes Wissen, was eigentlich nur in solchen kleineren Kreisen, in Workshop-Kreisen weitergegeben werden kann. Wenn man es als abstrakten Vortrag oder Buch weitergibt, dann bleibt es zu weit weg von dem Erfahrungshorizont. Und das war bisher oder ist ein Hindernis für die weitere Ausbreitung. Wir haben aber Bücher von William Emerson, das ist die Behandlung von Geburtstraumata bei Kindern und Jugendlichen und das Buch über das Geburtstrauma und die Folgen geburtshilflicher Eingriffe, das gibt es im Mattes Verlag. Und dann haben wir jetzt das Buch von Matthew Appleton, wo im zweiten Teil die grundlegenden Dinge geschildert werden. Und mein Buch, Wie die Seele entsteht, ist auch jetzt in Neuauflage erschienen und erweitert. Und Carlton hat sich besonders um die Selbsterfahrungsseite verdient gemacht, auch allerfrüheste Phasen in der Selbsterfahrung zugänglich zu machen. Und ein weiteres Spezialgebiet ist die Babytherapie, wo auch William die Basis entwickelt hat, aber Carlton wissen wir, das fortentwickelt hat. Also das Verdienst von Carlton ist, dass er manches, was William dargestellt hat, in einer sehr guten Weise, ich sag jetzt mal, formatiert hat. Das gilt auch insbesondere über das Wissen über die Geburtsphasen. Und er wird die Basis seines Wissens ja heute Abend uns vorstellen. Carlton, I make a summary about your roots in William Emerson's pioneer work, and you made bring you are able to bring this knowledge to us in a well-formatted form, the knowledge to the phases of birth, and especially very early experiences and baby therapy. I think without prenatal psychology and this knowledge, it is not, we are not able to make baby therapy. We know this to help little infants. Yeah, I think I give the word to Carlton now, and you start with your lecture.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lutz.
Mhm.
I heard you talk about William, and I learned so much from him. I think starting 30 years ago, probably, he really pioneered some things that are just now sort of taking root. So he was ahead of his time in many ways, and very intuitive and very heartful, and learned a lot from him. And be eternally grateful for him. And a lot of the stuff I'm going to show you today came from the decades I spent hanging out with William. I think one of the most important things I learned, and I'm still learning really all the time, is how to imagine what life is like from the perspective of a baby. We're all, of course, we're babies once, and we've all been socialized and pulled into the adult world and maybe left some things behind, and maybe our cultures could do, I think our culture could do a lot of good by learning how to listen to babies. And in the last 20 years or so, I've figured out what babies say and how they say it and how specific they are about what they want and need. And so I've started teaching baby therapy classes, and we have a baby therapy class, online baby therapy class that we're putting out now. So I want to invite you to let's visualize yourself when you were a baby. Let's just take a minute and maybe close your eyes and take a couple of breaths, and let's find ourselves together here. And just imagine that we're on this earth that is so tiny compared to the rest of the universe, so big compared to us. And how do we get here anyway? Where did we come from? I think babies, I like to say they're fresh from the factory. There's something special about looking into a baby's eyes and or being around a birth is so powerful. Please just notice your breath and notice your weight in your chair and see what your breathing feels like right now in the moment. What is it like to be you right now here with us, this little tribe of like-minded people? Yeah, imagine yourself as a baby, as if you could see yourself as a baby. And probably you've seen a photograph, or maybe you have an image of what you looked like as a baby. And just say to that baby, thank you. Thank you for coming here. Thank you, my own little baby self, for coming here. And remember how cute you looked when you were little, how adorable and how precious and vulnerable. See if you could feel compassion and love for your baby. It's so important to allow ourselves to be with babies in ways where we ourselves are not guarded or projecting onto them. They're so real, babies. They're so real. They're nothing but pure flowing truth all the time. So be with your little baby today when you can, and thank your baby for coming here. Uh, and I want to thank you for coming here and showing up today. Ah, here we are. It feels different now for me anyway. Our little meeting feels a lot better. Thank you. We've created a little relational field together by just breathing together. So yeah, come on back into the room and notice where you are, and um, just why do we care about what happens to babies? I think there's a big philosophical question here, because when we look at the maladies this world is brewing, so many of them are a reflection of our unresolved pain and our unresolved anger um, and the lack of compassion that we have for each other and even for ourselves. So this is about compassion, and it's about waking up to ourselves as a continuum of this form we were when we were a baby. I'm going to show you some pictures. I'm going to show you this PowerPoint, and you could have this PowerPoint. It's on my website. It's for free. You can download it. I want to introduce the PowerPoint because it looks like it's written for moms, and it is, of course, because moms are the ones who bring us babies. But if you spend some time with this PowerPoint, you'll find out that there are deeper levels of information here. And I want to touch into those levels with you today and see where it takes us, okay? Let's see if I can share my screen. Yeah, I can. Oops, don't want to need to look at my calendar. Here we go. This is the PowerPoint. I want you to have it if you want. Have some information. Probably you know some of this information. Probably some of it might be new for you. I'm talking to mothers, but I'm really talking to therapists and baby therapists in particular, underneath the conversation with mothers. Mothers' lives are changed forever. Most of our mothers are girls, they're young women. And once you have a baby, you become a mother, is your main form of identity. And so I want to teach mothers how to be with babies and what their babies are telling us and what the babies are talking about, so that mothers can have an easier time bonding with their babies and understand why babies are crying. This reminds me, I want to introduce something real quick that William Emerson taught, it has taught forever. He called it needs crying. Babies cry because they need something, and they can't get things on their own. If they're hungry, they cry so that they need to eat, and they need to be burped, and they need to be warm, and they need to have their diapers changed. And somehow Mother Nature made the cry of a baby the most irritating sound you can hear. A, a lot of people have done psychological tests on irritating sounds, and the crying baby is the most intense. And it's a function of human evolution that we hear our babies cry, so we know they need something. And if a need is what they're crying about, like if they're hungry or need to be burped or if they're hot or cold, well, you meet that need and they stop crying. And that's not the problem that our families come to us about. Our families come to us, if we're a baby therapist, about the crying that just doesn't make sense to them. They can't understand, why is my baby still crying? And we know now why babies are still crying. It's because they've got stuff going on inside that's still bothering them. And they don't plan on crying. They're basically, here's what happens. If there's something unresolved in a baby, and the baby's not busy eating or being social, the baby's psyche actually showcases what the baby needs to talk about. And the baby will start crying. The baby may start pointing to areas where there's something going on, rubbing their eyes or arching their backs. All of these forms of baby body language have real meaning. And there's real information that is being communicated to you so that when you figure out what that language is saying, you could give the baby what it needs. But one thing, and this is called, by the way, this is called implicit memory crying. And I'll talk a little bit later about implicit memory. But when a baby is implicit memory crying, uh, they they need to be listened to and understood so that something can come out and be expressed and shared. And all too often, our culture has taught us how to tell babies they don't stop crying. Shh, 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 quiet. There's nothing to cry about. All is okay. And meanwhile, the baby is having an implicit memory activated. It's like a flashback. That's how we first started hearing about this implicit memory experience. The flashbacks our soldiers have when they have a activation in the present moment that suddenly makes them feel like they're back in combat and danger. And this is what happens with babies. When babies are implicit memory crying, they don't feel good. and their body is flooded with adrenaline or norepinephrine or catecholamines or all kinds of possible bioinformation molecules saying, hey, I'm not okay. There's something wrong. It hurts here. I need to tell you. So it's not a time to shush a baby. If all the baby's needs are met and the baby's still crying, this little talk about that we're going to do today will help you understand why they're still crying and what you can do about it. So I'm going to go to this slide. Move this over here. So it's so true that the mothers and babies go through the same birth experience at the same time, but the way it's felt, of course, is completely different. Your baby's experience is completely different than yours was. And it's so important to recognize that. It's important to support mothers and understand what their birth experience was like. But it's also important to listen to babies and see babies because babies' faces will tell you what happened in the birth canal. And that's what we're starting to teach here. I want to show you this a happy baby, a normal looking baby, and a loving mother. But can you imagine this baby's nose was broken? It's broke. Look, here's the center of the baby's forehead, but the nose goes this way. Many, many, many babies break their noses or get small fractures. If you look at the perimeter of the nasal bone and the frontal bone, they have these sutures, right? All these sutures between bones. And in birth, when there's friction and drag forces, some of those little bones break. It's just a little tooth of a bone, but it's still a broken bone. And it hurts. How do babies break their bones? Oh, I got to get my baby. I'll be right back. All the way. Okay. Here's my baby. I'm going to show you how she broke her nose. You've probably seen one of these before. It's pelvis. And this is the backbone, L4, L5. This is the sacrum. Here is this bump right here. See that? This bump, the lumbosacral promontory. And babies, when they go into the transverse posture so that their head can fit in the pelvic inlet, are lying right on that bone. And they have to turn at some point, and it's by turning across that bone that our noses get hurt. I can look at you, and you can, if my students can look at you and tell how deep you descended into the pelvis and which way you turned, what happened to your nose. This is so fun and interesting to be able to see people's faces and learn about them by seeing their birth. And it's not common. It's getting more common that people recognize people's birth emergence into this extra uterine world by saying what happened to their face. Let's look at what happened to this baby's face. Here we go. Look, she broke her nose. And look what else is happening. You see this extra white area here? And you see this has kind of an equal amount of sclera on each side. That's not genetic, and that's not because the baby is trying to look one way or another. That's because there's a muscle under here one of the six eye muscles. This one is the medial scleral muscle, and it's contracted. It's hypertonic. It's pulled tight because something happened while this baby was going over the LSP that made the baby's eye get kind of locked into this position so that the scleral muscle on the medial side is hypertonic, and maybe the one on the lateral side is hypotonic and relaxed. So look at what's that? What the world looks like to that baby who's looking through those eyes. So all kinds of things happen to babies' heads. And here's why. This is L5, and this is sacral bone. Can you see my arrow, Lutz? Is it okay? Yeah, okay. So this is the lumbosacral promontory right here. And this bone is the thickest bone and one of the hardest bones in a woman's body. All of her weight rests upon this, all the time, and it's this 30 millimeters thick. Look how big it is. And relative to the baby's cranium and cranial bones, if you look at the skin and all of the membranes and the skull, all of those pieces of anatomy together are only 1.5 millimeters thick. And there's a brain inside, right? So something happens to all of us while we're resting here with our lie side. We call this our lie side against the mother's LSP. And look, here's another baby. If you look at this baby, until you're really aware of what you're looking for, it looks just like a normal baby. But look, this eye, you see, is lower than this eye. This is something Emerson taught 30 years ago. It's the lie side theory. This eye is lower and it's also closer. You see that? If this is the middle of the baby's nose, look how much closer her right eye is. Because why? She was lying against her mother's sacrum, and the pressure from lying against her mother's sacrum pushed this side of her cranium in this direction. And when the baby started getting pushed forward, the lie side eye got dragged down, right? So this baby's right eye is lower, it's closer, it's also a little bit smaller, and it's got less scleral. So wow, what happened in here? This look, she's saying, I wish I could stretch this tentorium out. We've got all these big membranes in our cranium, and craniosacral therapists like to hold them sometimes and help us feel things inside our cranium. And during birth, one side of our cranium gets a lot more contact, a lot more impression. It affects blood flow, but it also combines with a physical and psychological and emotional experience that the baby's having. So when you see a baby like that one pulling on her ear, and you see babies pulling on their ear, pulling on their hair, rubbing their heads, I call that somatomagnetism. It's because parts of the body are attracted to these places where there's unresolved compression and contraction inside the body. It still hurts and it still bugs them. So when you see a baby going like this, they really are trying to stretch out a crumpled tentorium from birth. And I want to share something else with you. This is a funny cultural thing that we see when I'm a baby and I move my eyes. We go, he's tired. And it's true. I don't usually rub my eyes until I'm tired. But look, here's what's really happening. Baby gets tired. Here she's not playing or looking around anymore. She's getting sleepy. And the brain waves are changing. The baby's little ego is resting, and there's a transition that happens when the baby gets sleepy. And that's when the psyche says, oh, okay, baby's ego's not busy. It's my turn to talk. Look, I got hurt in here. It bugs me in here. My body feels, oh, I'm so sleepy. There's something icky in here. That's why we think rubbing their eyes comes from them being sleepy. It does, but it comes from their psyche and the somatomagnetism pointing out where they got injured from birth. Okay. Other cool things is if a baby's rubbing up on one side or pulling their ear, they tell you what stage of birth they got hurt in. Some babies go like this, rub eyes equally at either side, or they go down. Help you imagine if your baby's in a sacrum, and we all were, well, most of us came through sacrums, not all of us. More and more C-sections, of course, are being undertaken, but every one of us goes through the same environments, the same scenarios, the same birth stages, exactly the same birth stages if we're a head first vaginal birth. And every one of us goes through them in a completely different way. Like our fingerprints are completely different. Snowflakes are completely different. But a baby will tell you what happened and when it happened. So if I'm a baby and I'm rubbing one eye, I'm probably talking about something that happened while my head got hurt here, right? This is from lying against the LSP and maybe even turning rotational phase. You'll see more of this in the PowerPoint. And babies who isometrically are talking about where their face was stuck coming out of the sacrum. Now, this might all sound like Martian to you, but I'm going to back it up. Is implicit memory. Uh, okay, let me talk about implicit memory. I'm back. Hi. Implicit memory is not like explicit memory. Probably a lot of you know, but I'm just going to go through the way I teach it because it's pertinent to baby therapy. Explicit memory is like, oh, Lutz was very kind and gave me an introduction. I can remember it. I can think about what happened and I can thank him. It's about what you did. It's about what your day was like. You store memory in an accessible place or parts of your brain. Implicit memory comes from two things: consistent repetition, like riding a bike. You could get on a bike and you don't even have to think about it. Just ride because your body remembers. So implicit memory is about things that your body remembers. And one of the ways to create implicit memory, there are two ways. One's repetition, but the other way is through a traumatic or very intense experience. And birth is a very intense experience. And because it's so intense, and because implicit memories are formed, more and more and more connections are made during a part of birth where it's traumatic for the baby. And those connections can really take a grip on your cranium and it can keep you kind of stuck in a way. We're going to help babies get unstuck by understanding what they're asking for with their body language. We'll talk a little bit more about implicit memory later on. So here is the landscape. This baby is lying on her left side. And she's lying against the LSP on her left side. So this eye will be pushed closer. And as she goes through the birth canal, there'll be a drag force that pulls this eye lower. Now, the body remembers that because you can see it. You can see it. I can look at you, tell what side you were lying on. I can tell what side where you were for the most amount of time in your birth canal, where you spent the most process, and often what kind of emotional process you had while you were there. It's because it's written on our faces. And it's a beautiful thing to allow yourself to begin to see what happened to someone's birth, what happened to someone because of their birth, because it's written on everyone's faces. It gets better. You think of a cone head baby with a great big cone head. Those change after a few weeks, but they never totally resolve to the pure symmetry that babies had prenatally, I mean. This is why one eye's lower and one eye's closer. So this is about memory crying and needs crying. So here are the needs: feeding, burping, changing. He's had his nap. He's warm enough. Doesn't have a rash. He's healthy. What can I do? It's so sad. Many mothers go here. What am I doing wrong? I must be a bad mother. And what we need, mothers, and of course, as therapists, what we need to know is that a baby's body has implicit memory from when its head was squeezed and from the feelings it had while its head was being squeezed. I've had people say, well, Karlton, baby has, thin cranial bones. The baby has fontanelles, so the baby's cranium can collapse to get through the birth canal. And yes, it does, but that doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. And it collapses on something, right? It collapses on the brain. And what's that like? So important for us to be curious as parents and practitioners. What was that like for that baby? What happened? What feelings are still associated with that implicit memory from having been stuck? Mm. Not your fault, Mom. Here's where it comes from. It's a big difference between the strength of a very thin, partially ossified cranial bone and mother's great, big, strong LSP. This is really a big, powerful collection of bones here. So those heads, babies' heads are so sweet and so fragile. They've worked so hard to get here. I love these daddies loving their babies and having empathy for them and being so gentle. Now, if a baby is a left-sided lie, this whole part of the cranium is going to have compression forces pushing it in. And there's a lot of important brain function that is then deprived of oxygen. And it's also very painful. And it's also saturated with emotion. And so many practitioners who are sacral practitioners or osteopaths or chiropractors, they have their hands and their focus deep into the baby's birth memories, and um, they adjust things mechanically and then biologically and fascia wise, but until you also process the emotions that were experienced while that baby was imprinted that way. That emotions sort of act like a glue that hold things back, and you have to come back over and over and over again to get these treatments to hold. When the emotional aspect is dealt with, when a baby can, or a parent or an adult could get a treatment and say, I cried when this happened, mad when this happened, those emotions can be seen as in their relationship to what happened to the cranium during birth. And when those emotions come out and when they're acknowledged, the system has a chance to, it's almost evaporate. You could really get almost spontaneous healing from from some of the depth of these injuries that happen during birth. Here's what we want. We've got a happy baby. We've got a happy family. So here's what I was talking about. Let's look at what's inside here. This is the tentorium I was talking about. Great big membrane. These membranes separate and protect the brain, and they can't get through the birth canal without twisting and getting compressed. I think sometimes they even get little wrinkles in them, so that don't fully re-expand to their original, pre-birth symmetry. So it hurts. It hurts to get born. And unlike other mammals, we have to rotate our heads to get through the birth canal. These guys don't. These guys have a cranium that more or less gives them an easy birth. Horses are up and walking around within a couple of hours after their birth, and even chimpanzees. Chimpanzees' pelvises are much wider than human pelvises, and you've seen the way chimpanzees kind of walk, this funny walk, because their pelvises are so wide. We are bipedal and tall, and our pelvises are narrow to support that. And meanwhile, our craniums have gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, so our heads get hurt when we are born. And we often, kind of we're born kind of prenatal, really, because we have to get out because our heads are getting too big. But we're so vulnerable, aren't we, after we're born? And it's so important to recognize that we're still kind of prenatal. It's like a fourth trimester that we want to pay attention to. Here we are in a little prenatal state. Isn't this a great way to be? Look at this baby's cranial shaping. This is a really big flat spot here, isn't it? And you can see there's an indentation here. All these shapes are explainable by what the baby went through in the birth canal. We could teach you those step by step, how they got there, what happened, how they are being held, and how they continue to bother babies so that babies cry when they have all their needs met. So we're the only mammals who have to rotate our heads. And it looks like this on our lie side. This is a left-sided live baby. She has to rotate down, often across the face. Sometimes it injures the eye, like I showed you. The ligaments and the muscles in the eye can get injured and become tense or give up and become hypotonic. And then the baby rolls over the LSP and hurts their nose. And that is just a very common experience from the rotational stage. It's the narrowest part of human birth. And look what it does. It's subtle, but once you begin to see it, You can't unsee it. These were all right-sided lie babies, weren't they? It's so clear. These are the things we need to say to babies. These are the things we need to say, whether they're crying or whether they're happy. Okay, it's a little bit more about implicit and explicit memory. Implicit memory, your body knows. And you have different forms of implicit memory based upon different events that have happened in your life. Explicit memory is kind of the normal memory that we think about when we talk about memory. What do you remember? How do you remember? What was it like? Implicit memory is inside and it's held in the body and it's held at a cellular level. So sometimes, usually, like what I said before, babies are getting sleepy or getting tired. These implicit memories arise and they could literally feel like they're back in the birth canal. Look at this baby. She looks like she had, look at how crunched up her poor little nose is. It's probably broken. Her forehead got smushed. Smushed is a scientific word in the baby body language dictionary. When babies are crying and their needs are met, they're crying, and you can see in their faces what they're crying about. They want you to hear what they're crying about so you can listen to them, so you can understand what they've been through. It hurts. So I'm just gonna let you read this. Implicit memories can drain away if you listen to them. But they need to be heard. You can't put a baby in a room and let them cry and expect them to feel better. And if you don't listen to them, then those feelings get pushed back in and they need to find a way to come out. One of the ways they come out is by acting them out. Here's a little girl who she was a right-sided lie, and it hurt. Her right eye hurts, and she knows it hurts. She wants other people to know it hurts. Not a purpose. She's just it's a way of communicating. Wow, something's going on in here. It's bugging me. Look, this is bugging me. Listen to me, please. It's all about listening. Now, look, these are all left-sided lies. Look, this eye is lower and closer. Every one of you has an eye that's lower and closer, and that tells you something happened. You can look at yourself, you could look at your friends here and the windows, and you could see, oh, wow, Lutz was a right-sided lie in the narrow pelvis. That must have hurt going through. Um, I was a left-sided lie. So why do we want to know what side lie people are so we can have compassion for what their experience was like? Someone got hurt there. You know, if your baby is hurt, she comes running into you, like, what happened? Where is it? What's going on? You know, kiss it better, mommy, make it better. Just by knowing where something happened and acknowledging it by kissing it better and hearing the story of how it hurt. I hit a car when I was on my bicycle and it fell on my shoulder. My shoulder really hurts. No, this shoulder, mommy. Kiss this shoulder. This is the one that hurts. And oh, yeah, thank you for listening to me. I can relax a little bit. I can let my shoulder relax. And the implicit memory heals, it goes away. And we could do that with our babies when we first meet them. And if we can do that with our babies when we first meet them, They're going to be able to latch better when they're wanting to drink. They're going to be able to meet milestones like rolling over or moving forward or crabbing, crawling, walking. All of those things are so much easier when babies' birth have been addressed and listened to, and when they've been given a chance to talk about what it was like for them. Let's see. Okay. This is so cute. Here, this mommy is kissing this baby right here. And guess what? It's the perfect spot to be kissing this baby. Look at this baby's. This is where this baby's birth trauma was. You see, this eye's sunken. It's lower. It's closer to the nose. Look at this baby had a I don't, it's a slightly broken nose. Look, and the jaw is twisted. Look. So when mommies kiss the right spot, it's already helping babies process their implicit memories. See what we got here. I don't want to get into all this other stuff right now. I think what I want to do is chat with you. I see if any question or feeling came up for you. Do you know what side you were lying on when you were born? How about you, Birgit? Hi. Anything come up for you during the lecture? I could tell what side you were lying on. Yeah. Thank you for sharing, Birgit. I would love to answer questions because there's so many things out there that we know now that could help you if you're a therapist or if you're a mother. Nisha, thank you. Hi.
Hello, Karlton. Thank you for your sharing. Nice to see you again. So my question is, when I talk about all those things with mothers, generally they tend to say, "Oh, okay, if there is a lots of pressure during the labor, vaginal labor, so maybe it's better to have a C-section then." So of course, I explain lots. Of course, I explain lots of areas, but I want to also hear from you a little bit, if you can. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Nisha. When I hear that, first of all, it makes me sad. Um, it makes me mad. But I end up explaining that C-section births are extremely traumatic. In many ways, C-section babies get injured in very deep ways. And tell you why. One reason is that the birth, the moment of birth, instead of taking a few hours and being a negotiated process with the mother, going through different stages and phases together, birth happens in 1 minute or 2 minutes after the surgery. Boom, the baby's born. It's so shocking. It's shocking in many ways. Physiologically, it's shocking. And it's shocking because there's a huge sudden release of pressure. But imagine not knowing what's happening to you. If someone came in through your window right now, pulled you out your window, and you found yourself in the middle of the busiest airport in Europe, Frankfurt Airport. Boom, you're out there, lights, sounds, strange things, completely naked. I've lost my home. I lost my clothes. I lost my phone. I don't have a kitchen. I don't have anything I was eating with. Where the hell am I? It's so shocking. And that shock alone stays in the system for a long time. And the process of a C-section birth is very invasive, the perspective of the baby. Big hands come in and grab them, and their world has been so private and personal all that time. So many C-section babies, because of this, are tactile defensive. Like, whoa, I gotta be careful. Don't touch me. I feel shocked when people touch me. So many C-section babies have a hard time actually doing things for themselves. I once did a kind of a survey in my son's Montessori school, and I asked the teacher, was a friend of mine, and a lot of the parents were friends of mine. We went around the room, and I said to the teachers, which babies, they were not babies, they were like 5. Which are the ones that always need help finishing a project, that can't do anything until you're there, that can't, you know, struggle through on their own and get something done? There were like 5 C-section babies in that class, and those are the ones the teachers identified. Your birth is done for you, so you have a way to know how to do yourself. It's your birth. And it's there's lots you could do for C-section babies, and C-section birth is birth. I'm just saying it's not the best birth, especially if it's not needed. And so often these days, there are births that are happening by C-section that are not medically necessary at all. You don't initiate your birth if you're a C-section birth, if you're a planned C-section birth. So how can you know with your intuition and yourself and your soul, oh, okay, this is time to do something. It's time. You could feel it. It's a knowing. That gets taken away from you if you have a C-section birth. Often C-section babies and adults I've worked with say, I don't know when to start something. I'm confused all the time. I lost my intuition. I feel like part of me is still left in my mother's womb. Um, yeah, C-section babies sometimes they have real difficult relationships with, especially with other C-section babies, about contact and touch and permission and what's okay, what's not, what's safe, what's not safe. So I wouldn't recommend having a C-section birth ever, unless it's medically necessary. And then thank God we can do them. Does that help, Nishi? A lot of psychological consequences to all the little things that happen to us here and there in our births.
Yeah, thank you.
You're
Maybe that's
welcome.
why we need to increase, I also wrote the chat. Maybe then we need to increase the slow cesarean birth, or, mother baby friendly, because
Yeah.
there is some percentage about the cesarean rate. So maybe we can decrease
Yeah.
the yeah.
I think you have to do 100 C-section births to get your license in America. And I think they should train not just surgically how to do the birth, but they should train emotionally how to do the birth, psychologically how to do the birth. There is a mind in there, and that baby has a mind that will be affected forever by what you do here. So if you tell the baby what's happening, if the mother tells the baby what's happening, the baby might not understand English or Turkish or German, but the baby understands intention. The baby understands emotionally laden language. Honey, you're going to have to go through my tummy, and I'm going to get some medication. It might feel strange to you. Somebody's going to come get you. The doctor will tell you when he or she's coming to get you so that you won't be too surprised. Yeah. slow C-section births are wonderful C-section births. There's one more thing I want to say about C-section. Oh gosh, I can't remember right now. Lily, hi, you have your hand up.
I yeah, so I have a friend who was laboring for like 60 hours, but then in the end had a C-section. So do you think the baby was still that far engaged, like in the birth canal, that there was like pressure from the bones? Like, do you think it works? Like, do you think like C-section babies have the same like bone pressure in like on their face?
Oh
Like,
yeah. Oh
okay.
yeah. Yeah, they do because even sometimes in the eighth month, the babies are down low, you know,
Yeah.
and you see pregnant moms walking around like, oh, my back is killing me.
Yeah.
And when they say that, I always go, God, I wonder what that's like for your baby. You know,
Yeah.
you can always say a little something to somebody with some passion. But yeah, they probably there could be something anomalous about the mother's pelvis. It could have a shape or an ischial spine that the baby can't get past. Um, I it probably wasn't the cord issue because it went on for so long. If the baby was in there 60 hours struggling, the baby was getting oxygen. So it
Yeah.
probably wasn't that. So it might have been something mechanical. And now here's the thing you can tell your friend. She needs to talk to her baby, okay? Oh God, honey, you tried so hard to come to us. You tried so hard to get born. You were stuck for so long. It must have been so hard on your little head. And I wanted to meet you, and you wanted to meet me. And finally, we're here, skin to skin. Thank you for coming. Thank you so much for coming. I'm glad you came. Thank you for being here. I'm never gonna let someone pull you away from me again. You don't have to be afraid that someone's gonna come take you. C-section babies can have that ongoing fear, you know. Am I safe? Is someone gonna come get me? So let her tell her to tell her baby, I'm not gonna let you go. I'm not gonna let you go. And there are games you can play that are really wonderful with C-section babies. When she gets older, it's really important to have her crawl through tunnels,
Mm-hmm.
tunnels of people on their hands and knees, so that the baby goes through. They love it.
Mm-hmm.
If the tunnel's a long one, 3 or 4 people, the baby will probably try to go out the side or out the top.
Mm-hmm.
But if you could keep them in there, encourage them, by the time they use mom as bait, hi, honey, come on, come to me. If you can get the baby to go through a tunnel, wow, that changes something big in the neural connections in the brain. And the
Mm-hmm.
baby can be released from some of the implicit memory and some of the trauma memories that were constellated from the emergency C-section birth.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, besides, oops, let's see, somebody's mic must be on. I'm hearing something strange. Simone, can you mute your, there we go, thank you. Look, can you guys hear that too?
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're good now.
Ola, you can maybe mute her?
Oh, I don't know how, but
No,
here,
you cannot, Carlton. Kola can do it. She's the
yeah.
host.
Yes,
Okay,
I'm
we're
looking.
good
I'm
now.
looking for her.
Okay, so what do we want to know? What's the takeaway? Uh, Human culture is reflecting back to us who we are and what happened to us and how we feel about ourselves. And there's a lot of unconsciousness and there's a lot of violence and there's a lot of pressure out there. And when babies are received and acknowledged for the work they've done and for how much pressure their head was under and for how precious they are. Oh, here's the other thing about C-section births. Just remember what I was going to say. Nisha, you tell them, guess what? You won't be able to hold your baby or carry your baby around for days, days, days because of the major abdominal surgery you've had. It's not easy. It's not easy to have a C-section birth. It hurts. You're under drugs. You can't bond with your baby. You miss the golden hour when the baby can be put on your skin and feel you breathing and find the babies could crabble around on the first 20 or 30 minutes or so and find your breast and latch on. You can't do that either if you've had a C-section. You really miss the bonding window. And you miss days and days of being able to hold your baby, carry your baby, walk around with your baby because of the surgery you had. Yeah. Different stages have different effects. I'll just show them to you really quickly. Stage 1, baby's head is transverse. Get that arm down there, pumpkin. There. Because the pelvis is wider from side to side and the baby's head is longer from front to back. So the baby only can go in that way. And this is stage 1. And when it is time to be born, the baby actually somehow signals the mother. It has been studied a little bit, but not enough. But there's something happens in the baby system. And I'll tell you what it is. The baby's going, I'm getting too big. I'll never get out of here. Mom, it's time for me to be born. Geez, I don't have any room. Help, help, help. And so that signal goes up to the mother's brain and her HPA axis. And she's, whoa, I've started to feel Braxton Hicks contractions. I wonder what brought that on. And so the stronger the contractions get, the more intense it is for the baby, the less room it is for the baby. And the baby doesn't have an open cervix that cannot get out yet. This is a psychological experience. I'm under all this pressure. I got nowhere to go. What do I do? Is there something wrong with me? Am I bad? I just got, there's another whole contraction. Wow, ouch. If I were Jean-Paul Sartre, I would write a play called No Exit, and I would feel really strange about the human condition and why we have these moments of existential pain and curiosity. And oh, now the cervix is opening and it's time to go down, but I can't descend anymore. I got going for a little bit, but these ischial spine, the tuberosities, the sits bones blocked me from further descent. Now what do I do? Oh God, I'm gonna have to. It's so tight in here. Oh, there's some room. Oh, oh, ow, that hurts my nose. Ow, what am I doing here? Oof. I rotate my head to get through. That's the narrowest part of birth for human beings. It's stage 2, the rotational stage. And it hurts. You can't get through there without your bones getting smushed and overlapped and without your brain getting crunched. And gosh, if the cord's around your neck and it tightens while you're rotating, that's going to make life hard. So stage 2 is often about which way do I turn? Where do I go? How can I decide? I turn this way, it hurts. I turn that way, it's so narrow. What do I do now? Which way do I go to get out? Oh, maybe this way. So people who are injured at this stage are the ones who can't follow instructions when you say, to get to Starbucks, you go down Main Street, you take a right on First Street, you take another left on Oak Street, and you're there. And the people, that 2 instructions, 2 corners are like, what? How do I get there? And it's not just trivial things that stage 2 trauma can do to people. It's sort of like Oh man, Bobby would make such a great husband. Gonna go to college. He's gonna be a banker. He's such a sweet guy, but Johnny is so sexy, man. He's got that motorcycle. He's so hot. I mean, what should I do? How do I decide if I want to marry Bobby or Johnny? These are stage two issues, getting mixed up from left to right. I think a lot of problems with not being able to read or not being able to read maps or take directions come from stage two. These are just simple basics. Finally, I had stage three, and there's nowhere to go. I've got my face is in a sacrum. There's, you know, how do I finish? The cord's probably getting compressed somewhere. I'm getting as much oxygen as I was getting. I'm completely exhausted after all that stuff. So someone with stage three issues will have a hard time finishing projects. So I'm just trying to say that each one of these birth stages has some specific psychological consequences. So there are many. I just kind of did a broad brush over a few of them. Kathleen Hellerman, I saw it's a wheel turning. Do you have a question? No? Okay.
Right now, I'm fine. Thank you for asking.
You're welcome. Well, who does have a question? Because I'd be happy to answer. I love teaching off of questions. I'll ask you, Lutz, why is it important for us to realize that human birth is very, very hard and that it shapes us psychologically? Why is it even important to know that? You're muted, Lutz. You'll have to unmute.
Oder ich sage es in Deutsch und dann summarize in English.
Okay.
Also in den Geisteswissenschaften gibt es einen Ausdruck Mimesis. Das heißt Nachklang. Frühe Dinge klingen im späteren Leben nach. Und wenn ich eine große Enge-Erfahrung hatte, dann kann Enge für mich ein Thema sein in ganz anderen Lebensebenen. Dass ich auf einmal mich in einer Ehe eng finde oder in einer Freundschaft oder in einer Arbeit und so weiter. Und das ist, darum ist, what Karlton has shown is the basic structure of a matrix. And these matrix repeat in the management of our lives. And therefore, it is so important to know these basic matrix. And I think it's the training to discover the first matrix, second, third matrix. And maybe later in life, you have always the same strange changes to manage. Or life is transformation. And if you have birth is the first transformation. And this is laid down in a Matrix Muster. Und wir wiederholen diese Muster. Und wenn wir diese Muster, if we recognize these matrices, we can find other ways.
Yeah. I think if I follow you, you're saying what I certainly agree with is that look, the human brain is at its highest rate of making and most quickest rate of making neural connections right around birth. So you make more neural connections in the few weeks before birth and during birth and after birth. And those experiences tell you what life is like And those experiences, if you succeed through whatever movement or pressure or direction you went through the birth canal, those fixate, and those are the movements and reactions and processes, decisions you tend to make the rest of your life. But the problem is these could be hostage taking. You know, they cause reactions in people. The brain grabs hold of you and says, "Hey, you're stuck. You need to push." If you pushed and that succeeded you, that's the person who's riding on your tail on the highway in their car. They got to get past you. You know, they got to survive. You get these attitudes and belief systems and behavior systems by the way you went through birth. And so if you want to have options and you want to have clarity, it's important to learn, you know, what programs your brain took in your birth that you're taking now that aren't always the right ones. You know, I don't need to push my way through this ticket line. I'll get there eventually, but I pushed my way through birth. And the guy behind me is pushing me. And then you look back and they've all got stage 1 trauma. You could see it on their foreheads. So I think what Lutz is saying is that the patterns that we experience in birth, the experiences we have in birth create patterns about how we go through life.
And it is important to know these patterns. Nicht? Also, there is an American mythologist oder psychologist, Campbell, ich glaube Joseph Campbell, and he has written a book, Die Reise des Helden, The Journey of the Hero. And birth is the first journey of the hero that we are. And later stages of life are also Heldenreisen, to come to school, to come to kindergarten, to come university, to meet a partner, and to elect a profession. All is hero journeys. The whole life, even age, is being old is a hero journey. And it is very, and the whole Star Wars is hero journey. And if we understand hero journeys and our own hero journey, the form or the Gestalt in German of our hero journey, we are more conscious, more relaxed also. And not only repeat the terror or the anxiety of birth. Many people, it's only a horror trip from one step of life to the next step.
Yeah. And if you work with babies, it's their brain is still very alert and changeable. And if you could find where they were hurt, where they were stuck, and help them find a way through that trouble they were in. Because now they're not in the dark or they're not alone. So they were alone in the dark in the birth canal, and there was trouble in the birth canal. And they'll show you where their trouble is. And if you could be with them and see, oh my gosh, honey, you really got stuck here. Go ahead, see if you could move forward. I know you could do it. You could work a little bit. You're not stuck anymore. Seeing babies in the light and in a circle of love or compassion allows them to leave these old patterns behind. Sometimes the most important thing you could do is see the pattern. The baby will tell you, and when you see it and share it, baby's relieved and it could go away.
I think in the future, the challenge for being or the becoming parents is first to clear the own birth pattern, the birth pattern of my parents and my birth pattern. That marriage is not a repetition of these patterns. Yeah, cool. Huh?
there are two and three questions in the chat I would like to ask you,
Okay.
Yeah.
Karlton.
Okay.
Yes, so the first question is, which stage, if someone have difficulties to ground her or himself and to realize the ideas and projects in life, to which stage this belongs, this structure?
I need to know if we're talking about a head-first vaginal birth or not.
Sorry?
Is it a head-first vaginal birth we're talking about? We'll have to ask the question.
I think it was yes.
Okay, normal head-first birth. Oh, yes, it says yes. Okay. So, were there drugs in the birth? Was there anesthesia involved? Was there epidural? We need to know all some of these details because they affect one's groundedness. I don't know. Okay. So this is about finding grounding and self-rhythm. Is that right?
Yes, so the woman who asked the question, she don't know these details from this.
Yeah. I think it could be stage 2 of birth, and I want to show you why. Because if you look at prenatal life, you see baby's always in the head over heart position, right? You know the head over heart position. Here it is. Head over heart. Head over heart. No matter what age you are as a baby, you're always head over heart. Look at this baby. Head over heart. Right up until the birth. And guess what? The heart, the cells that form the heart actually began. They started up here with the cells where the brain is and the face, and the cells migrate down to become the heart. And there are a lot of neurons in the heart. Did you know that? There are neurons in the brain, neurons in the heart, neurons in the gut. There are a lot of neurons in the heart, which is in front of you and outside of you when you're prenate. It hasn't gone inside and migrated to the left yet. It's right there. Your head's right there. And even when you're a baby lying in the birth canal, look, your head is over your heart, right? Until stage 2, look what happens. Imagine that there's a energetic string here, like my intuition and my heart are connected. My thinking and my brain and my intuition and my heart are connected. I am one. I am grounded. I am whole. I know I feel things together at the same time. What happens at stage 2 is, look, the head turns and you break that connection for the first time in your whole life. See? So you've been in head over heart for months and months and months, and then birth comes and it forces your head away. People often realize, God, I lost my intuition when that happened. And my heart and head don't connect anymore. I don't feel grounded. I don't feel whole. I don't feel intuitive. And I don't feel like I can think and be intuitive at the same time. And so this could be the stage that you're asking about. And there's so much you could do about it. You could help babies heal that, and you could help grown-ups heal that with just a little bit of easy therapy. Could we
Thank
see?
you.
Did we answer her question? I just want to see.
There are more questions. And the
Ich
next
denke auch, wir sollten Überlegungen machen über mögliche Angebote von Karten.
Ja, im Moment bin ich noch bei den Fragen.
Ja, aber wir haben ja nur wenig Zeit noch.
Yeah. So then we have to decide. But I think it's the best is I ask the question and then afterwards we clear that.
Barbara, did I answer your question adequately?
Sorry?
I think it was her name was Barbara, a woman who
Barbara.
had those questions. I just want to make sure I answered her properly.
Okay.
Maybe. Is there another question in the chat?
Yes, there's another question in the chat. So if
Okay.
babies are born with a pelvis first, what are the structure and what is which impact it is for their life? They are not born with the head in the first, but when the pelvis is born first.
Breech birth?
Yes.
Wow, well, that's a whole different kind of birth, isn't it? It's bottom first or legs first. First thing you have to find out is, was there a reason that we can identify that was mechanical? Was the cord too short for the head to rotate down? Or was there a placenta in the way so the baby couldn't rotate down? Those are just the mechanical reasons. There are a lot of reasons for babies to be breached. It helps to understand why they were breached. Sometimes they're breached because they want to keep their head up near their mother's heart or her voice. They want to, maybe they don't even, they want to stay up in heaven. They don't want to come down to earth. And so they stay up. They're afraid to come out. And I've worked with babies who were breech, who had fears that if they come out, an abusive father might be waiting for them or other problems. And we've had great success at turning breech babies by helping them feel safe, that they can be born head first, and that they will be taken care of. And that if there's a problem in the family, the mother, the grandparents, whoever will intercede and help hold a family unit together so it's safe for the baby to say, okay, I could do it. I could do it. And I've actually helped turn babies on the phone when they were in the hospital before getting a C-section by helping the mothers understand what their emotional fears were that transferred to the babies that made the baby afraid to want to get born. So you can find out by asking the right questions often why a baby was breech, and then you can help them feel safe in turn very often. Was that what the question was, Cola? Was that adequate answer, or was it something else?
Yeah, the question was what is the impact if a baby is born first with a pelvis, with a breech? What's the impact for for their life?
Yeah, it could be many things. A breech birth, nowadays doctors don't like to give a breech birth because a few of them are trained how to do it. So if a baby's breech, they just often go straight for a C-section. If you were born breech, we want to know, what you need to know is that there was probably some anxiety around the birth. What you also need to know is that they probably pulled on part of you and it could have hurt. It could have twisted your body and you might have problems with your low back or with walking. One of the problems with breech births is that they can be very painful if the doctors are manipulating the body of the baby to get the baby to come out and be born. So you have different implicit memories sometimes in your feet or in your hips about what your birth was like. Psychologically, you can be, you have to feel like you're told that you're wrong. You're different. Life's going to be hard. And breech babies could resent authority. I got pulled out by a doctor. I got hurt by a doctor. I don't want to listen to a coach. I don't want to listen to a teacher. I don't want to listen to my parents. These are just some of the ideas we could talk about breech babies. I don't know specifically what you're wondering about. it's easy for breech babies to get mad at their friends or their partner when it's actually not their friends or their partner that mad at. It's just implicit memory inside. I'm mad when I'm told what to do. I'm mad when I have to change. I'm mad when I have to listen. You will do things my way this time. So a lot of those interpersonal struggles it can come from a breech birth, and the implicit memories that are still lingering with the emotional and psychological consequences. A lot of breech births were angry, but they had to give up, to get bored. So that sets up a pattern in life. So I don't really, there's so much to talk about. I really don't know which detail we're wanting to address, but those are some of them.
Yes, maybe I can add that one time when I read a joke about the breech-born people, and in this joke they said, these babies show the world what they think about the world. And it's similar to that what you are saying. They are angry.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the next question, it's maybe for the next lecture, because it's to answer this question, you need a lot of time, I think. I know that. Because Gisela asked if you can say more about the psychological effects of different stage of birth. But you speak about this lecture, but this is a topic for another lecture, I think.
Yeah, we could go through all of them, you know. William taught this years and years ago, and we've gotten more and more experience. We've gotten more and more examples. We've got more and more protocols. So I love talking about this stuff. And yeah, it takes some time to address the details and nuances. And so the whole day today was just kind of a broad overview without specific details.
Yeah. And Gisela, I hope that this is okay for you if you don't go into the details now, just now, because we are nearly at the end of this meeting. But there's another, and the next question is similar, because the question is also from Gisela, that she has a lot of clients who have near-death experience during pregnancy and during birth. And also the same question, what is the impact from this experience for life? And this is, I think, also very multidimensional and complex to answer this.
I've got a couple of quick comments that could help, though. One of them is this: most people don't realize this, but babies often pass out during birth or dissociate during birth. They get into situations that are so intense and so difficult that they really have to dissociate or pass out. And so when that's happened, if a similar situation occurs in daily life that occurred, like someone getting stuck or someone cutting you off or too much pressure, you could dissociate. And so dissociation, the ultimate form of dissociation is dying. And so I think dissociation and near-death experiences, I know we have them in birth often, and they're often not addressed. But they made it. This person is here. Let's look at how you made it. Let's empower you in ways that could help you continue. And if it's too stressful or too shocking, let's just do it step by step. Look at little things, little ways to move forward, little ways to stay present in oneself. I hope that was helpful. I'd love to have more conversations and go into these questions much more deeply if we have some other time when we have more time.
Yes, so yeah. Thank you so much, Karlton. Yes, and this is the option Karlton give us. So if you are interested, we can organize more talks with Karlton Terry. Also, he is open and willing to give it regular. And so we need your feedback if you are interested, and we can we can organize further meetings with Karlton. This would be helpful. Who of you is interested? Who of you needs translation and so on, so we can make it more helpful and useful for
I
everyone.
I see one last question. Shall we go ahead and take one last question?
In the chat, there's no.
No,
Okay.
it was just me. I just wanted to ask how we can show our interest. How do you want us to show our interest?
I can put in the chat our well, you should come email us at KT Baby Therapy and have a look at our website. We were going to put all that in the chat. Did you get those documents to put in the chat? There are links to if you're a baby therapist. There are links if you want a mentorship team. There are links if you want to go through our membership, which has all different kinds of videos, movies, instructions, articles. Come to KTBT, KT Baby Therapy, and there's all kinds of resources for you there. I'll put it in the chat here.
Yes.
As I understood, Karlton, one offer would be 9 or 10 lectures every week, maybe on Monday, 90 minutes, and something like a course. All these questions.
I'd love to meet
If,
once a week or once a month or once every other week, because if you're even interested about anything here, these are just the little tidbits that we've been sharing today. There's so many layers of information that are very deep and soulful and meaningful to us. And we're talking about the most important thing that can happen to a human being is emerging into the extrauterine world and joining us here. That transition is huge, and I just want to, share all I can about what I know about it. And I'll put my
Yes, and for the response, but Maya, your question, it would be very helpful if you give feedback to Barrett so she can summarize
okay.
exactly what Karlton is saying, who is a therapist who works with babies and who would like to get a baby therapist, and also so that it's very concrete for us. What is your needs? What is your interest? And we can look what we can organize with that. And yes, and how much you need, how many, if you are a baby therapist, maybe you need more mentoring, or if you would like to get a baby therapist, you need a training, and so we can give a surface about all this interest overview.
Yeah. I will invite you to email me directly, and then my staff and I can find out what might be best for you. We can give you information about memberships. I have some small teams that I work with that are practitioners who want to learn more about very specific things and for themselves. So we could form a mentorship group of about half a dozen people. And in our mentorship teams, we take turns presenting cases with babies or ideas about self-formation or individual mini lectures on specific topics from anything, C-section, IVF, adoption. We love covering all of those subjects in detail. And I did have, Cola, do you have that email I sent you that has the different links? Let me see if I could have it and I could.
Yes, I have this email. We can share it. Yeah.
Oh, could you put it on the chat?
Oh, I don't know how to do. Sorry.
Let me, okay. Those of you who are interested, I will find this and put it in the chat now. Just take a second. Okay.
Meanwhile, probably I could recommend Karlton's book in German, which is called Vom Schreien zum Schmusen, vom Weinen zur Wonne.
Oh yes, kannst du das auch in den Chat schreiben?
Okay.
Danke.
Good.
And for me or for us, it would also be interesting how many English-speaking participants we have tonight in this meetings. So yeah, so because for the translation.
Hey, I know what. I'll show you just where to go real quick. I'll share my screen with you. It'll be the easiest way. Let's go look at Karlton Perry's website. We'll just put it up here. Okay, you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Karlton Perry, baby therapy. Let's go home. So this is my home page. And if you go here, you can look at all the sorts of things that we have. This is our education that you might be interested in. We have an online baby therapy course. That's in great detail where we go through how to be a baby therapist, what you need to know about being a baby therapist, how to understand babies and what they need, how to read baby body language. So you could go to education and look at our online baby therapy course. We also have a mentorship teams. So you could go to the mentorship team and you could basically oops, let me get out of here. You know what? Email me personally if you have any interest, and we'll get back to you and tell you what links you might be interested in. We have so many resources, and we have different events that we do. We're in the middle of this obstetrical intervention course, and there's just a ton of stuff. So we can help a lot of people who want different kinds of things. I'm sorry I didn't keep that list to give to you, but email me, we'll find it for you.
Okay, Karlton. I think some people have to leave now because they have no longer time. Yes, so what we can say is first to you, thank you very, very much to bring all your knowledge and your present here tonight to us. And afterwards, we will discuss together how we can go on and further with all this knowledge that we can share it here. And yes, if you have any comments or feedback, please let us know. And of course, it's for us, our time is over now. Would you like to say something at the end?
Thank you, Birgit, for mentioning my book.
Yeah, very important book.
I just thank you for caring about human beings and what matters to human beings in intimate ways. And thank you for caring about this vulnerable, precious, mysterious world of birth and pregnancy and how it shapes us and creates behavior systems and belief systems, attitudes. There's so much deep healing we can do if we can just figure out how to share it with more and more people. So thank you for coming. Bless you for your interest in this work, and hope to see you again if we do another show on the ISPPM. Thank you.
Yes, so in the chat there are many, many thanks. And I also would like to say thank you to Lutz for your support, introduction. And I think we will see us again. And I'm very happy to have you here. and wish all of you a nice rest evening. And
Bye-bye.
let's
Thank you.
integrate all this information.
Bye-bye. Good night.
Bye bye.
Bye.
So, bye
Bye.
bye.
Bye bye.